It took 6 years for NPR to get Donald Trump on the phone, and only 9 minutes to get him off. The former president spoke briefly on Tuesday with NPR's Steve Inskeep, who began their chat by thanking Trump for agreeing to be interviewed after first requesting his time in 2015. The pre-recorded interview was set to last 15 minutes, which was discussed at the top. "Very good," Trump agreed. "Very good, Steve." They covered the COVID-19 pandemic. "The vaccines, I recommend taking them, but I think that has to be an individual choice," Trump said, also expressing his opposition to mandates, which he believes are really hurting our country. The conversation quickly turned to the 2020 election as well as Trump and his supporters' persistent, baseless claims that it was somehow rigged in President Joe Biden's favor despite overwhelming evidence that it was not. Is it a disadvantage for Republicans to keep talking about the 2020 election in 2022? Inskeep asked. "No, I think it's an advantage, because otherwise they're going to do it again in 22 and 24, Trump replied, mentioning vague and unsubstantiated findings in Arizona and what's going on in Georgia, Pennsylvania and Wisconsin, where he said, "They're finding things that nobody thought possible," before adding, "This was a corrupt election." When Inskeep said that the audit in Arizona that was set up by your allies didn't find serious problems, and asked why officials there accepted the results that allocated the state's electoral votes to Biden, Trump responded, characteristically, with an insult. "Because they're Renos, and frankly, a lot of people are questioning that," he said. Similarly, Trump answered a question about why the vast majority of your allies in the United States Senate are not standing behind you, including South Dakota Senator Mike Rounds, on his 2020 election misinformation. Trump said, "Because Mitch McConnell is a loser." The former president also falsely claimed that nobody believes that Biden all of a sudden got 80 million votes, which he did, because he could only attract 20 people for a crowd and nobody came to watch his events during the campaign. "If you'll forgive me," Inskeep replied, "maybe because the election was about you." In what would be his final question before Trump hung up the phone, Inskeep asked about Trump's influence on this year's midterm elections and Republican candidates' desire to be endorsed by the still popular former president. "Are you telling Republicans in 2022 that they must press your case on the past election in order to get your endorsement?" he asked. "Is that an absolute?" "They are going to do whatever they want to do, whatever they have to do, they're going to do," Trump said, before mentioning Arizona Republican candidate Kari Lake, who has his endorsement and has taken up election integrity as an issue in her campaign for governor. "She's very big on this issue. She's leading by a lot. People have no idea how big this issue is, and they don't want it to happen again," Trump said. "It shouldn't be allowed to happen, and they don't want it to happen again." Inskeep seemed to want to get an answer to his specific question, but Trump spoke over him and then got off the phone. And the only way it's not going to happen again is you have to solve the problem of the presidential rigged election of 2020, he said. So Steve, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Whoa, I have one more question, Inskeep protested. I want to ask about a court hearing yesterday on January 6th, has gone. Okay,